What if the scariest part of a horror movie is not what you see on the screen, but what actually happened when the cameras were not rolling? When audiences first watched The Conjuring, many walked away shaken. The film felt grounded. The fear felt personal. The opening titles boldly claimed it was based on a true story. That single phrase changes everything. Suddenly, the creaking doors and shadowed hallways are not just cinematic tricks. They become echoes of something that was once believed to be real. But as terrifying as the movie is, the story behind it may be even more unsettling, because real life does not follow a script, it does not build tension neatly, and it does not always provide clear answers. If you love true paranormal stories and spine-chilling horror, subscribe to Richard Barron Horror for more unsettling videos. Hit the bell and join us for new encounters, investigations, and terrifying tales every week.
Left her in the spare room. We are beyond terrified.
Such thing as Annabelle, and there never was. It was a big mistake acknowledging this doll.
So the doll was never possessed?
No, it was used as a conduit. It was moved around to give the impression of possession. Demonic spirits don't possess things. They possess people. It wanted to get inside of you.
The film centers on paranormal investigators Ed Warren and Lorraine Warren, a married couple who built a reputation in the 1970s for investigating hauntings, demonic infestations, and unexplained phenomena. They were controversial figures. To some, they were devoted researchers helping frightened families. To others, they were storytellers who blurred the line between belief and proof. Regardless of where one stands, their influence on modern paranormal culture is undeniable. Their case files inspired books, lectures, and eventually one of the most successful horror franchises in film history. At the heart of this story is the Perron family. In 1971, Roger and Carolyn Perron moved into a farmhouse in Rhode Island with their 5 daughters. The house stood in the quiet countryside of Harrisville. It was old, it was spacious, it seemed like the perfect place to build a new life. But from the beginning, strange things began to happen. Unlike the movie, which quickly escalates into dramatic paranormal events, the real family described a slow unfolding of odd occurrences. At first, they were small. A broom would move from its usual place. A pile of dirt would appear in the center of a freshly cleaned kitchen floor. Doors would open on their own. The girls reported hearing whispers when no one was nearby. There were sounds of footsteps in empty rooms. The air sometimes felt heavy and cold without explanation. These early experiences did not come with orchestral stings or dramatic lighting. They came in quiet moments. That is often what makes real stories more disturbing. There is no warning music in real life. There is only silence, followed by something that should not be happening. As time went on, the disturbances reportedly intensified. Some of the children claimed to see figures moving through the house. Carolyn Perron became increasingly distressed. According to later accounts, she felt a particular presence that seemed hostile. The family began researching the property's history. What they found added fuel to their fear. The farmhouse had stood for generations. Over the years, several families had lived and died there. Some deaths were natural, others were tragic. There were stories of accidents, drownings, and mysterious circumstances tied to the land. Among the most infamous names associated with the property was Bathsheba Sherman. Local legend painted her as a woman accused of dark practices, though historians debate the accuracy of these claims. There is no solid evidence that she was involved in witchcraft or murder, yet folklore can grow powerful roots, especially in small towns. In the movie, Bathsheba is portrayed as a malevolent witch who cursed the land. The film presents her as the central antagonist. In reality, the historical record is far less dramatic. There is no documented proof of ritual sacrifice or confirmed occult activity. However, family believed that a spirit connected to the property was tormenting them. Whether that belief was shaped by local legend or genuine fear is still debated. Eventually, the Perrons reached out to the Warrens. By that time, the couple had already investigated other high-profile cases. They arrived at the farmhouse to conduct their own inquiry. According to the Warrens, they encountered signs of a dark presence. Lorraine, who described herself as clairvoyant, claimed to sense a powerful and oppressive energy inside the home. The film depicts a full-scale demonic case, complete with possession and an official exorcism. The real events were more complex and less cinematic. There was no sanctioned Catholic exorcism as portrayed on screen. Instead, there was reportedly a seance conducted in an attempt to communicate with the spirit. During that session, Carolyn Perron allegedly began speaking in a voice not her own. Family members later described her body lifting slightly from the chair before slamming back down. Moments like that are difficult to verify. They rely on testimony rather than documented evidence, but for those who experienced them, the fear was real. Whether caused by psychological stress, suggestion, or something beyond explanation, the emotional impact left a lasting mark. One of the most unsettling differences between the film and the real account is duration. The movie condenses the haunting into a tightly structured narrative. In reality, the Perron family lived in that house for nearly a decade. Imagine years of unexplained noises, years of tension, years of wondering whether the next creak in the floorboards is just old wood or something else. Over time, the family learned to coexist with what they believed was present. Not every reported spirit was described as malicious. Some were said to be neutral or even protective. This complexity is rarely shown in horror films. Movies often simplify the supernatural into clear villains and heroes. Real accounts tend to blur those lines. Skeptics argue that the events can be explained through natural causes. Old houses shift and settle. Drafts create sudden cold spots. Rodents and plumbing produce mysterious sounds. Psychological suggestions can spread quickly within a family, especially in an isolated setting. When one person becomes afraid, others may begin to interpret ordinary events as threatening. Fear can reshape perception. Believers counter that the sheer number of experiences over so many years cannot be dismissed so easily. They point to the consistency of the daughter's stories, told long after childhood. They emphasize that multiple witnesses describe similar phenomena independently. They argue that not every strange event has a tidy scientific explanation. The truth may rest somewhere between belief and skepticism. What cannot be denied is the cultural impact of the story. The farmhouse became famous. Paranormal enthusiasts traveled to see it. Investigators attempted to capture evidence. The legend grew larger with each retelling. When The Conjuring was released, it amplified the story to a global audience. Director James Wan crafted a tense, atmospheric experience rooted in 1970s aesthetics. The film focused heavily on the Warrens as heroic figures battling darkness. It streamlined the events into a confrontation with a clear enemy. That clarity works well in cinema. Audiences crave resolution. They want the demon defeated. They want the family saved. There was no dramatic final battle as depicted on screen. There was simply a decision to leave. What makes the real story creepier than the film is not explosive horror. It is endurance. It is the idea of waking up night after night to unexplained disturbances. It is the slow erosion of comfort in what should be the safest place in the world, your home. The movie shows intense terror over a short period. The real account suggests a lingering atmosphere that stretched across years. There is also the matter of ambiguity. A movie monster is terrifying, but it is visible. It has rules. In real accounts, the unknown never fully reveals itself. It lingers just outside certainty. That uncertainty can be more disturbing than any special effect. The Warrens themselves remain polarizing figures. Supporters credit them with helping families who felt abandoned by traditional authorities. Critics question their investigative methods and the lack of scientific rigor in their claims. Yet their legacy continues to shape modern ghost hunting culture. Television shows, podcasts, and documentaries trace part of their lineage back to the groundwork they laid.
The Sam and Colby guys just went into the Conjuring house.
I was just there, maybe a month and a half ago.
You went into the Conjuring house
by
too?
myself, Joe.
Okay. Do you believe that there's something going on in that house?
It's my favorite franchise.
They're fun. And there's so many of them. The original story.
So the most famous we'll get to, but it's built on the same grounds that the King Philip's War was fought on, right at the beginning of the United States and everything. So the main people that haunt that are 7 dead soldiers that this little girl always kept seeing in the walls, and thus it started manifesting more to the entire family. So this family called the Perron family bought the place in I think 1972.
The Perron daughters have spoken publicly about their experiences. Some maintain that what happened in that farmhouse was genuine and life-altering. Others approach it with more nuance, acknowledging both fear and the passage of time. Memory is complex. Childhood experiences can feel larger in hindsight. Trauma can imprint itself in powerful ways. So where does that leave the story? It leaves it in a place that is perhaps more haunting than fiction. The film gives us a beginning, middle, and end. It provides a villain and a victory. The real account offers something messier. It offers testimony without definitive proof. It offers folklore woven into history. It offers a family trying to understand events that did not fit into their understanding of reality. That may be why the true story lingers. Not because it proves the existence of the supernatural, not because it conclusively debunks it, but because it sits in that uneasy space between explanation and mystery. In the end, the farmhouse in Harrisville stands as a symbol. To some, it is a reminder that there are forces we do not yet understand. To others, it is a lesson in how stories evolve and grow. Either way, it has secured its place in modern horror history. The next time you watch a film that claims to be based on true events, consider what that phrase really means. It means somewhere, at some time, someone believed something extraordinary was happening. Whether that belief was rooted in fact, fear, or folklore, it shaped their reality. And sometimes the idea that real people once stood in those dark hallways, listening to those unexplained footsteps, is more chilling than anything Hollywood could ever script.